fighting, and then I started getting the rush. I started just beating her head with it. It was kind of creepy because she was like scared to death.
How did you finally get control of your grandmother? Because in the past, she's eventually been able to handle you, right? She's been able to get the upper hand. What was different this time?
I've always been in control.
By April 2017, the police in Gwinnett County, Georgia were well acquainted with 17-year-old Cassandra Bjorge and her criminal history. But when she found the self-proclaimed Clyde to her Bonnie and Johnny Ryder, Cassie's deviance rose to a whole new level. What began with an attack would lead the police to discover something far more heinous, including, horrifically, the couple living in a house with dead bodies nearby. But even this was only the beginning of their shocking depths of depravity. The majority of the following footage has never been seen before. It has been analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed clinical psychologist, a licensed professional counselor, and a former detective, former licensed polygraph examiner, and former hostage negotiation commander and instructor. Chaos kicked off on April 8, 2017, shortly after 8:30 p.m. when police received a call from Tomoko Ryder, Johnny's mom, who had just walked in on an assault in progress in her home. Though none of the responding officers could have possibly known, they were now investigating a bizarre string of violence, and a case that would come to encompass so much more than assault. Mindy Ryder, Johnny's sister, provided this summary of the attack, starting when she and her boyfriend Kevin returned home to eat dinner.
I'm not sure what time it was, but we were about to eat the food we just to go, and I noticed my room is trashed, like everything's been flipped out, like all my purses have been went through, and I told my brother, I know you did this, you and your girlfriend are the only ones that have been home, like just own up to it and tell me, I won't call the cops or anything. And at the time he was on the phone with my mom, and he was like, so if I own up to it, you won't call the cops? And I said, yes. So that's when he hung up, and I hung up on the police. Like, I already dialed 911. And then all of a sudden, he goes out and comes back in and just sprays us straight in our faces and starts hitting us and tells his girlfriend to go grab the bat.
19-year-old Johnny and his girlfriend, 17-year-old Cassie Bjorge, then sprayed Mindy and Kevin in the face with bear repellent, which is stronger than typical pepper spray. The attack only escalated from there.
And I see her come in with the bat, and the first thing she does is hit me across my back. And I try to grab it from her, and then she hits me on the head and keeps kicking me in the stomach. And Kevin and Johnny are fighting in my room. So I chase her out to the living room, and I'm trying to grab the bat, and I hear Kevin begging my brother, like, Johnny, please don't do this. You don't have to do this. And I went in the room, and Johnny had Kevin in a chokehold, and my brother's girlfriend was in there with the bat. And so I was able to, like, grab her by her hair and, like, take the bat away from her. And I started hitting my brother, telling him to let go. And then I handed the bat to Kevin. And then Kevin was going to hit my brother, but my brother caught the bat. And then we all fought over the bat. And it was me and my brother on my sofa. And then Kevin grabbed a beer bottle and told Johnny to stop, to just let us go. And, like, we won't do anything. But my brother said he will never do that. And so Kevin hit him on the top of the head with the beer bottle. And it shattered.
After Johnny had a bat, we hold it, and then Johnny was like, bring a hammer! Because he couldn't take it by himself, obviously.
And you got hit with the bat too?
Yes, sir. But I kind of blocked it here, really. I just blocked it, so it was okay. But second time I got hit my teeth too. He kicked me in the face, so my teeth fell down.
The escalation from attacking with a bat to a hammer was stopped when Johnny and Mindy's mother returned home from work. With the odds no longer in their favor, the two assailants, Johnny and Cassie, fled. However, this would eventually prove to be their downfall. In addition to his damaged tooth, Kevin had injuries to his hands, arms, and ear, not to mention the burning of the bear mace. As for Mindy, it took 7 staples to close a wound on her scalp, and she also had welts on her back from the bat. The assault wasn't the only crime committed at the Ryder house that night. In fact, it was only the beginning. Johnny and his girlfriend stole Mindy's car to make their escape. The attackers had also abandoned the vehicle they arrived in. When police ran the plate on that car, they made a shocking discovery. It belonged to a 63-year-old man by the name of Randall Bjorge. The car wasn't the only tie to Randall, though. Randall's granddaughter was Cassie. The first hint that something was wrong actually came over a week prior on March 28, 2017, when Cassie's grandmother, 63-year-old Wendy Bjorge, reported Cassie missing. Wendy and Randall had custody of Cassie for over a year by this point. They'd hoped to help her through some behavioral issues she'd been having, including using drugs and running away. Based on her recent disappearance, though, it seemed that at least one of those issues persisted. When there was still no word from Cassie after a few days, Wendy made this Facebook post asking friends to keep an eye out for her granddaughter. After that, it was radio silence from the Bjorge family. It looked like Wendy and Randall had gone off the grid just like their granddaughter. Concerned, Wendy's sister, who lived in California, asked the Gwinnett County Police to do a welfare check on April 6th, 2 days before the attack at the Ryder house. She had become concerned when she received some text from Wendy's number that didn't quite sound like her, and made her suspect that they'd actually been sent by someone else. Police attempted the welfare check, but left when no one answered the door. Even if police had forced entry, it still would have been far too late to avert tragedy. After what happened at the Ryder house, though, police knew they needed to talk to at least one of the Bjorges. They returned to Wendy and Randall's house looking for answers. This time, when no one answered their knocks, they forced their way in. Nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to find. As they walked into the house, they discovered a mess downstairs, with drugs and paraphernalia scattered about the living room and food left out to rot in the kitchen. It also appeared as though most of the house had been ransacked. The real horrors, however, were found upstairs, hidden behind the sealed doors to the bathroom and master bedroom. But the truth of what was behind those doors wouldn't be revealed until a shocking interrogation. What police found inside added a whole new sense of urgency to the hunt for Johnny and Cassie. Despite an in-depth search of the residence, Wendy's cell phone was nowhere to be found. The investigators pinged the device and traced it to an apartment building in the nearby town of Sewanee. When police arrived at the location, they had their first stroke of luck in this horrifying and chaotic case. In the parking lot out front was the car stolen from the Ryder house. As it turned out, Johnny and Cassie had sought out sanctuary with an old friend named Jake, perhaps hoping to hide from the manhunt that was looking for them. Iwu obtained an exclusive never-before-heard interview with Jake, who spoke about Johnny and the events of the fateful night, which led to police arriving at his home the next morning.
I met him in middle school. So 6th grade, we were 12 or 13 years old. He was always a class clown and everything. Very funny, very loud, very outspoken, but also very kind and very polite. I mean, eventually he practically became family. He was at my house every weekend growing up in middle school and early high school.
By mid-high school, however, Jake and Johnny drifted apart as Johnny became more involved with drugs and alcohol. They'd only recently gotten back in touch to have lunch a couple times, but Jake never could have expected what the relationship would bring next.
It was about 10 p.m. and I was at work. And I got the call from my mom that he was at the door. And so when I heard that he was there and that he was crying, I left work immediately and went straight home.
According to Jake, Johnny was accompanied by his girlfriend, who introduced herself as Cassandra. Jake had seen her once in high school, but didn't know her any more than that. That night, he said she was quiet and polite, and didn't give him any indication to suspect a more sinister reason for her presence. They couldn't have known the shocking secrets they were hiding.
That's when things started to take a weird turn. He said that he had gotten into a fight with his mom, which, at the time didn't seem strange because he has fought with his mom plenty of times before. And there's been times where he's been at my house because of it. And that she got so angry that she pepper sprayed him and he ran to the first place he thought of, which was me.
Confused and concerned, Jake and his mom let Johnny and his girlfriend spend the night and work the rest out in the morning. But they had no idea what crises the morning would bring, or what else Cassie and Johnny had already done.
Just when we thought it was just basically a family member, old family member coming in a time for help was really, one of the most traumatizing days I've ever had.
Despite the horrors to come, the day actually started like any other.
I woke up the next morning and he was, talking to my family like how he always did when we were kids, treating them like a parent, treating me like a brother. Was drinking coffee outside, catching up. And when I went to take my dog out, that's when I started to realize that things were turning for the worst. At the time, our building faced out towards the parking lot. And every day I see the same cars. But that day there was a blacked out Suburban right in front of our house, which I thought was really strange. And go back in, have a cup of coffee. And next thing I hear from my room was a blowhorn basically calling out my apartment number and Johnny's name to come outside. And it took me a second because you're not expecting to hear that at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning until finally the second time it happened, I got up and I started walking down my hallway. And next thing I know, there's red dot sights on the walls on my body.
Jake said that instinct took over, and he collected his sister and his mother, who had recently started to use a wheelchair, and prepared to exit the apartment. Unfortunately for the family, the horror was just beginning.
As we're about to go out the door, I see Johnny grab a knife, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he was like, what I thought could have been coming to stab me was him coming to give me a hug and say he's so sorry. And he's sorry for doing this, sorry for everything. He told me that he loved me and he wishes he didn't bring this on us and my family. And I just kind of froze, and he dropped the knife, gave my sister a hug, said the same thing, and then we went outside to every freaking cop in the county there, a few SWAT vans, and an ambulance.
Johnny and Cassie were still inside. Initially, the SWAT team and other investigators resolved to wait them out until they were contacted by Johnny's mother, who had received a concerning voicemail from her son.
"Hey, Ma, it's Johnny. I'm crazy. I'm evil. I'm sorry. Tell Mindy I'm sorry. Tell Karen I'm sorry. I'm not well. I'm dying as we speak. I love you. I'll see you later, okay? Love you. Bye."
Police no longer had the luxury of time to wait Johnny and Cassie out. However, they also knew that the pair could be dangerous, which meant that rushing inside could be foolish. With this in mind, police decided to make an entry using a video and audio-equipped robot. Robots are often used in situations where officer safety is a major concern. Obviously, it's preferable to sacrifice tech instead of human life. Depending on the needs of the situation, the robot can make deliveries or even use weapons or flashbangs. It also has video capabilities that allow law enforcement to get a good look inside a hideout, all from a safe distance away. Even better, all footage and audio recorded by the robot is admissible in court. Right away, the robot revealed a concerning stain on the carpet outside the bathroom.
"Johnny, Cassie, say something so we can see that you're okay."
Neither Johnny nor Cassie responded, and when the robot forced its way past the bathroom door, it became clear as to why. Realizing that Cassie and Johnny were in danger, the SWAT team took over and rushed inside to provide medical assistance. Unfortunately, the resulting damage to the apartment left Jake's family in a very difficult financial situation, and they ultimately had to find a different place to live.
We're just trying to get that.
Johnny and Cassie were rushed to the hospital to receive emergency treatment. For the time being, it was unclear if these injuries were self-inflicted or if the couple had turned on each other once they realized they were caught. There would be no answers to those questions or any others if Cassie and Johnny didn't survive. Thankfully for investigators, after a few days, doctors at the hospital determined that Johnny was stable enough for an interview.
So, I mean, we do like to kind of find out, what happened and kind of get your side of the story of what's been going on the past few days, and.
I've just been at the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to talk about is that your girlfriend, Cassie, or is it just a friend or what?
She okay?
Yeah, she's fine. No, she's fine. No one's told you anything, or? Yeah, she's fine. How long you guys been dating?
A lifetime.
I can't live without Cassie. I don't know why. I never felt like this about any other girl.
This is a bold statement from 19-year-old Johnny, considering he'd previously been married and only finalized his divorce about 2 weeks prior.
I heard her scream.
Yeah. I think she was more upset because people were trying to help her, and from what I was told, she's a fighter and she's kind of a pistol, hard to deal with sometimes. Okay,